Hey, how's it going, everyone? Hope everyone's doing well. I wanted to do another top 10 most complimented fragrances list. The reason for this is simply it's been almost 2 years since I did one of these. And things have changed over time. So essentially this list, it's in no particular order other than, going from more of the sort of summer scents over to fall and then winter. But in terms of, ranking, it's not really in order in that way. So to begin, I wanted to start with Performance de Marly Sedley. Now this is, again, a much fresher scent. This is more so for the summertime. Of course, can be used year-round, but that's its primary purpose for me and my collection. Essentially what I categorize this as is, again, fresh summery scent. How I describe it is, smells like Sprite. So if you ever had a Sprite, the soda, it has that sort of citrusy carbonation taste. That's exactly how this smells. My girlfriend really likes this one because, it's a much fresher scent, someone that doesn't really, collect fragrances as a hobby. People generally tend to gravitate towards the fresher scents versus super heavy scents. The next one over is Miss Honey Wave. So this one could also be sort of thrown in with Versace Pour Homme. They both smell pretty similar. Essentially, it's sort of this slightly creamy, but also sort of oceanic, really fresh scent. Now this could be, super versatile. It can be worn in the office, could be worn day to day, could even take it to the gym. It really just depends on, what sort of scenario you're in and, how big your collection is. For me, it's sort of an easy throw on, when I don't really want to think about which scent I'm putting on. That's one that I'm grabbing for. Another one over is Versace Dylan Blue. Now this was actually my second ever, real fragrance. My first one was actually Versace Pour Homme, which was why I really wanted to pick up Miss Honey Wave. But Versace Dylan Blue, this is sort of it's a fresh scent, but because it has a little bit of that incense in there, it gives it some depth. Now, I used to really like to wear this at work, in an office setting, because, with one or two sprays, it's not super overpowering, but there's still something lingering there. And again, super versatile because, it's mostly fresh, but it has a little bit of incense. You can wear it in the summer. I maybe wouldn't wear it in, 100, 110 degree weather, but anything below that, completely fine. You could even wear it into the spring, into the fall, whenever you want. It's really versatile. Next one over, Moschino Toy Boy. Now this is more of a unisex fragrance. However, I really enjoy this. So does my girlfriend. I'm the one that wears it. She doesn't wear it, but she really likes smelling it on me. And so this is a really rose-heavy fragrance. Now it's rose. It smells a little bit jammy. By that I mean it's sort of it smells a little sticky almost. But I still categorize it as mostly fresh with some depth to it as well. So this I mostly wear it in the spring. I don't really wear it in the high heat of summer. Sometimes I'll grab it when I'm sort of been missing it for a little bit. I might grab it in the winter or in the fall. But this is mostly a springtime fragrance for me. This is actually one of my favorites in my collection for the reason that you don't really have too many men wearing super rose heavy fragrances, and so that sort of makes me stand out a little bit. Generally, whenever I wear this one and I'm around others, they tend to give me a lot of compliments, of course, but they're sort of more unique compliments because it's not really something that you smell very often, as I mentioned, especially on men, because generally, we're wearing fragrances like Dior Sauvage or, again, these other fresher scents. So this one is really unique in that sort of sense. Now the next one over, Mancera Sajat Posay Intense. Now this one, again, could also be categorized with other fragrances, such as the obvious one, could be categorized with Creative Ventus as an example. But this is essentially pineapple heavy fragrance. In my particular case with the Intense, this one is pineapple fragrance. However, there is that freshness, but it is a little bit heavier. Now, the regular Cedar Rosé, I haven't had too much experience with that one. I never bought it, but I heard it's a much fresher fragrance compared to this one. So it's a little bit more versatile. But this one, again, I really gravitate for it in the springtime as well as in the fall time. I wouldn't wear this one, in the high heat of summer either, even though it does have that freshness. But it can really, really drown you out, especially because of how strong this one is. I have heard that there are, other formulations for this fragrance. My particular one, one spray is enough for the entire day. So I really enjoy this one. The next one over, Tom Ford Eau de Jour. Now this one, I mostly use it in office scenarios. However, I also really enjoy to use it, for special events like, weddings, things of that sort, where again, not in the high heat of summer, could be winter, could be spring, fall, but because generally in an office scenario, you're in the air conditioning, climate controlled, you don't really usually have to worry too much about, which season it is outside, unless it's, in very extreme scenarios, like 110 degree Fahrenheit outside, or, dead of winter. So this one sort of falls right in the middle, where I sort of think it as a sort of an earthier, sort of greener scent, but it does have sort of that amber smell to it. I really enjoy it. Honestly, it sort of seems to be complemented more by the sort of middle-aged and higher crowd, but it's one that I really love, and it makes me feel wealthy in a sense. Next one is YSL La Nuit de l'Homme. Now this one is sort of a classic. This one, of course, is always known as sort of a date night fragrance. It doesn't really last super long. It might last 4 or 5 hours on me. I tend to spray it on my clothes so it'll last a little bit longer. But it's also a mostly floral scent, at least to me. And so what that means is, women tend to love it, because women's fragrances tend to be, much more on the floral side. Whenever they smell it on others, especially men, they really enjoy it because it's something that they're familiar with, something that they're comfortable with, and something that they like. And so I've had a lot of success with this one, from others enjoying it. Men don't tend to enjoy it as much, so it's one of those where, if you wear it, it's more so for, for girlfriend, wife, whoever it is that you want to smell good for. So there's that. The next one is JPG, Le Male Le Parfum. Now this one goes more into the sort of end of fall, winter season. So this one, much heavier scent. I wouldn't say it's super sweet. I generally don't really tend to gravitate towards the super sweet fragrances. But this one, I've heard from others whenever I get the compliments, smells like fall. It smells like fall, smells like winter. And so that's sort of what I'm sort of aiming for with this particular one. I'm sure you all know it's a sort of a more of a cardamom scent, which is what I particularly pick up on in this fragrance. Same thing with La Nuit de l'Homme. And so for me, I personally enjoy that fragrance, or that scent profile. So that's one that I really enjoy wearing. Haven't really worn it as much lately, but I do really want to get back into it, especially in this current season. Next one, Dior Sauvage Elixir. Now this one, as I'm sure you all know, smells very different compared to the original Dior Sauvage, even the EDP and the Parfum. So this one, very heavy scent. I only wear this one whenever it's cold, rainy outside, because one spray, more than enough for the entire day in the winter. Now this one, I do pick up on the ambroxan. I don't really pick up on any of the grapefruit that's mentioned as a note in this fragrance. Don't really pick up on the licorice, but I particularly just enjoy how it has a tiny bit of that freshness, but it does have a lot more of that depth, and it is very heavy of a fragrance. I enjoy it. Most others enjoy it because they can still pick up on that freshness that is still present in there. So it's not super out of the blue, super something that they aren't really comfortable with or haven't smelled before. So still familiar to them. So that's where those compliments come in for that. And lastly is PDM Carlisle. So I only have a sample here. I do plan on picking up a bottle here pretty soon, but because my collection is relatively large, I'm sort of slower to picking up these full bottles because I can just sort of run through samples instead. But this one, again, super heavy scent. I only really wear it in the dead of winter. But this one, I've heard some people compare it to, this is what Batman would smell, which I would have to agree. It's a really, rich smelling, very dark, lots of depth to the fragrance as well. I really enjoy that one. Again, I don't really tend to wear this one too much because here in California we don't get super cold winters. But if I do go out to the snow or somewhere where it's a little bit colder or it's just a particularly cold day, then sometimes I will gravitate towards that one. So those are my top 10 for right now. Of course, I'm sure that'll change in the future. But please feel free to let me know any that that you've had really great success with, any success stories. I'd love to hear them down in the comments. And so that'll be it for now, and thank you for watching.